Hello and welcome. This is Lisa Marie Graves with MLJS Legacy, and we are preparing for the Men's Legacy Conference, which is next Friday. And we are interviewing the speakers that are going to be at the conference. And today I have with me Jud Johnson. And Jud is actually, for those of you that don't know, Jud is in the Houston area. And I'm so thankful that he is still coming up for the conference next Friday because he has experienced the wrath of Harvey. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you, Jud. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and how are things going now that, Harvey has left its mark on your family and your home and your business. And I know you shared with me prior to some, pretty fabulous revelations as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me at the conference. I look forward to it. I told Lisa a while ago before we went live, I was like, I'm really looking forward to getting out of Houston for a few days to go speak at the conference and just kind of clear my head. But yeah, my name's Jud Johnson. I do a couple different things. I run a few businesses. One business that I run is called Lux Weddings, and we're working right now to build the very first ever billion-dollar wedding empire. And so we're working hard on that. And we're doing that by changing the way that weddings are done for the luxury bride. And then, as Lisa said, yes, recently ironically, we took our employees on a 7-day cruise to the Caribbean with them and their wives just to have fun and do a team building trip. And while we were gone, when we left, everything was completely fine. There was no Hurricane Harvey. It was sunny, bright. We were going to have a blast. And while we were on the cruise ship, we were watching via TV everything unfold back here in Houston. And so we only had one TV station on the cruise, one news station that we could watch because it was very limited. And almost all the images, Lisa, were of like the Dickinson League City area, which is literally just a couple miles from my house. And that's where we started to get concerned, like, this is not good. Although, in Alice and Ike, all these other storms, our neighborhood has never flooded. But it's still not good for everybody in the surrounding area. We knew it was serious because all the images we were seeing was literally places we drive by all the time.
Wow.
And so we left with our house being fine, our cars being fine, our business, our office being fine and everything, to coming back to basically it was all destroyed. And so, yeah, the first floor of our house is gone. We had a car that was gone. All of our employees left their car in our driveway because we carpooled down to the cruise terminal. So we thought it would make life easier to do that. And so we had, I think, 5 cars in our driveway that were flooded. And then, of course, the business, every piece of equipment, being a wedding company and being specializing in production, so all the cameras, all the lenses, everything completely gone. So yeah, it's been a challenging last couple of weeks, to say the least. But as you and I were talking about ahead of time before we went live here, is more than anybody, probably, I'm okay with this happening to us because I know it's going to make me stronger in the end. I know it's going to make my family stronger. And so while tragedy is not fun, I would also say that, I accept it, that I'm okay with it, and that I use it to leverage growth versus using it to leverage pain and defeat and being a victim. And yeah. So I have a different mentality than a lot of people in Houston right now. And there's a lot of strong people, so don't get me wrong. There's a lot of overcomers, but when events like this happen, you can either use it to grow or you can use it to, deteriorate and be defeated. So.
Well, I've enjoyed watching. Well, I say this sounds horrible, but I like that Facebook. I love Facebook. The fact that it's allowed me to, kind of keep updated with you. I'll check your profile every so often and see how things are going. And it really does bring home some of the reality of what you guys are facing. It's a little more real versus the news. And I mean, I know the news, they just seem to kind of go more towards negative, huge damage. And you never really know how people are affected or who and what and where. So I appreciate that you've been keeping everybody updated on Facebook, and really, really thankful. I was a little nervous whether or not you would be able to come up for the conference. And so I'm so grateful that you are still able to come. And prior to this hurricane, we were talking about your topic that you're going to be sharing at the conference, and it's Your Habits Equal Your Destiny. And I was wondering if you could just share a little more insight about what you're going to be sharing at the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that's very important to me because it has definitely changed my life. And so anything that I talk about in entrepreneurship or life transformation, I talk from a first person point of view, meaning I've gone through it. I've experienced this. I chew on my own words. And so what I'm going to be speaking out at the conference is Your Habits Equal Your Destiny. And one thing that I love to do is I love to study people. I love to study successful people. I love to study society and see, the traits that people have and live their life through. Me personally, I'm a person who desires to live a very impactful and fulfilling life. My goal in life is life mastery. That's one of the things I focus on every day. How can I wake up and not necessarily how can I wake up and be better, but how can I wake up and be more fulfilled in life? Because to me, fulfillment is everything. And then returning that fulfillment, having impact, which is what we're doing at this conference. We're talking to others and we're sharing with others what we've learned through our journeys. And so that's giving that back, that impact. But the topic of habits has always been interesting to me because I've studied a lot the top 1% in our world, and then the other 99%. And I've always wondered, what is the gap between the top 1% and the other 99%? Like, what makes the top 1% the top 1%? What is it that's successful? And after doing a lot of studies, after really looking at the daily schedules of all these people, and it really has nothing to do with money, to be honest. Like, what I consider a successful person, maybe maybe they are financially successful, maybe they're a successful entrepreneur, maybe they're a successful athlete, maybe they're a successful musician, and so I look at all these people, and the one thing that I started noticing is that the top 1% go through their day and go through their life with very different actions and very different habits than the other 99%. And a very different mentality on top of that, because the mentality is what leads to actions. And so what I'm going to be talking about is really about how to change your habits and how much your habits affect your life. I mean, here's the reality. Like, there's a lot of people out there that say they want to lose weight, right? And the other reality, the hard truth is it's not a lack of knowledge. You know how to lose weight. You stop eating what you're eating and you work out as well. You eat better and you work out. It's that simple, right? I lost 65 pounds over within like 3-month period just by changing my habits as a test, just to see. Because I went through an illness a few years ago and was bedridden for 7 years. And I, as a result of that, I gained a lot of weight. And so when I started looking at my habits and stuff, I said, okay, well, I'm going to eat clean from now on. I'm going to eat 100% natural from now on. And I'm going to work out X amount of times a week and stuff like that. And guess what? All my weight went off. It's not the knowledge. I knew before that. I knew what would make me lose weight or what would make me be healthier. It was the lack of execution on that knowledge. And so the problem in our society right now is not the lack of knowledge. We have information around us. We have so much information, it clogs our minds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's the execution of the information that's the problem. And what I've learned is the top 1%, they execute. And they execute fast and they execute hard. And the way that they're able to do that is through the habits that they've set up in their life. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about. And you could come and you can hear the message that I'm gonna talk about, and you can say, okay, that's great. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do something about it. But like you and I were discussing before the call, 99% of people don't execute. That's the threshold. That's the breaking point. And so my job as a habits coach is to keep you accountable and help you create systems in place, because over time, with me transforming my life, transforming my business, and what I'm going through right now with basically my physical world around me being highly disrupted. I'm having to put a lot of habits in place, and then I have to heavily protect those habits to ensure that somebody else's belief system can't knock them off, or somebody else, like, one of my habits is I have to eat healthy, and I want my family to eat healthy and stuff like that. And right now we're not living in our house. We're living at a family member's house. And so one of the things we did when I lost all my weight is, because I guarantee you, if you put any kind of candy or bad food around me, I will gobble it up like a vacuum, and I will not stop until it's all gone. I have a hard time with self-control when it comes around like sugary and fun food, and I'm sure we all do to some extent, but my wife can savor like a piece of chocolate for hours, and I will literally just throw the whole thing in my mouth
and it's gone.
So when I was going through my habit change, a lot of how I coach people into changing their habits is addressing the triggers. And so I knew that if there was food in my house that was bad food, that was a trigger to allow me to partake in that food. So I had to remove and eliminate that trigger. And so what I told my wife is, okay, from now on, we're not bringing any junk food into the house. No junk food from the grocery store to the house. And if I have a craving at 10 o'clock at night, I have to drive to the grocery store to buy that junk food and bring it back. And when you put those hurdles in front of your habits, and you take those triggers out of place, and you set up new triggers, like last night, I was wanting some bad food. I'll be honest. I was wanting bad food last night. And I knew I needed to go to the store to get bananas and other healthy food. So I went to the store, and I literally did a lap down the junk aisle 3 or 4 times. And one of my triggers to keep me from eating bad food is to watch watch a health video, like on YouTube or something. There's a few guys that I follow in the health world. And literally after I watch like a 1 or 2 minute video on health, I immediately, that's a trigger for me to get back into my routine and my habit. Mm-hmm. So I walked out of there unscathed. I walked out of there without buying any bad food. I walked out of there with bananas only instead of bananas and chocolate or candy bars. But you have to address these triggers. You have to know which triggers are good and which triggers are bad. And to me, every single thing that you do on a daily basis is either doing one of 2 things. It's either getting you closer to your desired goals, or it's moving you further. It's binary. It's very binary. It's very simple at the end of the day. And so what I go through is I take all my people through a process, all the people that I coach through a process of saying, look, we're going to write down everything you do on a daily basis. So for example, if you're wanting to lose weight, let's use that because that's such a common goal for people. If you're wanting to lose weight, then every piece of food you touch or put in your mouth on a daily basis is either getting you closer to losing weight or taking you away from it.
Yeah.
And if it's getting you closer, we want to double down on it. And if it's taking you away from it, we want to find out what is the trigger that causes you to make that decision at that moment, because other times of the day, you may be making good decisions. So maybe it's every time you sit down at the couch and watch TV, that's when the bag of chips come out, or that's when the candy comes out, or whatever. And so you have to remove that trigger. So we address the whole sitting on the couch with the TV trigger, and we go through it in depth, and we address all these triggers, but one by one, we eliminate these triggers. And really all you need, in all honesty, is 1% change every day. I mean, I literally wake up every day and go, all I'm looking for is 1% change. And that's very achievable. Everybody wants to be, 40 pounds lighter overnight, and it's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. You have to do it 1 pound at a time. But I wake up and think to myself, all I need to do is 1% change. So if eating one more banana today, or eliminating, maybe I ate the hamburger and French fries yesterday, but today I'm just going to do the hamburger without the fries. That's my 1% change, so it's very achievable, and you're just growing yourself. You're building that muscle. So that's what I'm going to be talking about at the conference is habit change. And you know what, honestly, I'm going to ask people to execute. I'm going to ask people to put, to put their words to action, because at the end of the day here, life is so short. You only have one shot. You don't get to go back and redo it. And you want to live a life of fulfillment. And if these goals, if you're not obtaining them due to bad habits, then you're truly not happy at the core. And I want you to be happy. I want you to be fulfilled. I want you to feel like you're having impact in life. And so my goal is to push you to that limit. My goal is to not say it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your goal in life, if that's your dreams, because it's not okay. I mean, life is so short. We don't know when our last day is, and we don't know when the life around us is going to be disrupted. So I'll be speaking on habits, and I can't wait to dive in with everybody and get serious. So
yeah, well, and I love what you're saying with the 1%. And the other part that really stuck out to me is when you were doing your laps around the candy aisle.
Yes,
you had a mechanism to help you get through that challenge, because it is a challenge. It is mental or the struggle, and having something to help you get past it, I think, is very powerful. And finding out what that is for different people, as you say, when you work with them, that can make a big difference in them. Okay, getting past it just at one time, at least. So, I'm excited to hear more about changing habits, the accountability, and I love goals personally. So we have just a week left before the conference as of this interview, and it's kind of coming down to crunch time for people to make a decision about attending. Do you have any words of advice for those that are maybe on the fence or not sure about attending?
Absolutely. When I started attending conferences and workshops, I was very hesitant, because I think that the question always is, am I going to get value? Am I going to get my money's worth? Mm-hmm. And I learned firsthand that the very first conference I went to, as we were kind of talking before we went live here, I don't recommend people go to conferences and then try to walk away with 20 items that they need to change in their life, or 20 things to do. I honestly just recommend one. Like we were talking about the 1%. All you have to do is change 1% every day to see astronomical growth compounded over time. And so I would approach conferences and events like this the same way, is that, look, come in and just look for one takeaway that's going to impact your life the most. One takeaway that's going to be the highest and best impact for you and where you want to go in your life. And then walk away and put together a plan of execution and execute on it. And then have an accountability system, triggers, like we were just talking about. Yeah. That video when I was walking around the candy aisle, that was my accountability system when nobody else was around me, And so put accountability systems in place. And really, every single conference out there offers a ton of value. It's whether you choose to take it and do something with it or not. I've been to conferences that I literally came back and executed and made $150,000 more. Wow. Right away, because of one item that I executed on, and the other thousands of people that were there at the same conference heard the same item and had all the same rights and ability to execute it on as I did, and they just choose not to execute it, or they half-heartedly execute it, and they get the results they get. So I think conferences are extremely powerful. I think you have to have a strategy going into them. I mean, to have what was the price again of the conference?
It's $149.
Yeah. I've paid $15,000 to go to a conference. Okay. And even at that conference, you walk into it going, man, am I going to really get the value out of it? And on that particular conference, I ended up meeting one of the best relationships in my life. And the guy's probably going to make me millions of dollars by the time it's over. Wow. And while I didn't know or expect that was going to happen, it's the networking, and it's once again, everybody has something valuable to say. At the end of the day, it's up to you whether you get the value out of it. It really has nothing to do with the conference. Are the speakers going to bring value? Is the conference itself going to bring value? Absolutely. that's what we're here for, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm coming to try to instill as much value in you as I can. It's really up to you at the end of the day. So yes, I don't think there's a conference out there that isn't worth going to. I think it's all about you at the end of the day, which once again comes down to your habits.
Right. Well, and most of the speakers have shared about wanting to, they feel that they've gotten something out of the conference or conferences they attend, or even training sessions they go to, as long as there's just one piece of information that they can take. And so Jud and I were talking before, and he was talking about his study of successful people, and Warren Buffett was one of those individuals that he was sharing a piece of his story with me. And so, as you were saying, again, the one piece of information, when you attend the conference, there's probably going to be a lot of great pieces of information that you feel will be relevant to you based on where you are. And, so kind of using the Warren Buffett analogy is writing those things down and then finding the one that you think will be the one item that's going to have the largest impact, the highest priority, whether that's personal or professional, and then taking an action on it, making up your mind and taking the action. So that was great stuff, Jud. I mean, gosh, we're not even at the conference and we're already getting great stuff.
Yeah. Do you mind? So Facebook froze on my end real quick. Do you want to check it on your end? I don't know if it's my phone or.
It looks like it's still going. I mean, it's
still going on your end. Okay, good. Perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt it or anything. Okay. Sorry
no,
about
we're
that.
good.
Onward and up.
Okay, well, we are finishing up here with our interview. And the last question that I have is how people can get a hold of you, whether it be through your website, how are you found on social sites? So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I love connecting with people on social media. If you want to come follow me now, you'll see my behind the scenes of everything we're dealing with the hurricane. So for some of you, that might be interesting. And on Facebook, you can find me at Jud Johnson. Just friend request me, and be happy to accept it and be happy to get to know you and stuff. And I also post a lot of stuff about entrepreneurship and things we're talking about here, life mastery and life transformation. I also have a great website. It's a great wealth of information that I created. It's called immersionlifestyle.com. And the reason it's called Immersion Lifestyle is because I created this strategy called the Immersion Lifestyle, which is basically how I live my day every day. I know, Lisa, when you and I first met, I think, if I recall correctly, you'll probably remember I only emailed you between 2 and 3 p.m. every day. And that was the only time I could also do a phone call. Because basically, once again, I reserve certain sections of my day for certain things, and I have a very firm no to anybody who wants to dismantle that. And not that people want to dismantle it, but with technology, I mean, you're always getting phone calls, you're always getting text messages, and we're always at each other at the reach of the fingertips. And so one thing that I've learned from the top 1% is that they have a schedule and they stick to it, and they don't let anything or anyone disrupt that schedule. And so the Immersion Lifestyle, if you go to that website and you look through it, I'll send you guys my actual daily schedule that really has just transformed my life. And it's also transformed my business. Like I said, we're working on building $1 billion wedding business, the first ever in the wedding industry. And at the same time, I went from being bedridden to completely healed within just like a few weeks using the Immersion Lifestyle strategy. Also lost a ton of weight using the Immersion Lifestyle strategy. I've done many things using this strategy, and it works. And the strategy is based off of a lot of things that I've learned from the top 1%. So go to immersionlifestyle.com. You can email me there. All the contact information's there. Of course, on Facebook, Jud Johnson. I look forward to talking to you guys.
Awesome. And another way that you can find Jud is from the Men's Legacy Conference website. If you select the speakers, then you can get the bio on Jud, his topic, and then there's links to his social sites and website. So that's one other avenue that you can reach out and connect with Jud. Okay, any last comments before I send an invite to everyone to attend?
I'll say it. The best investment, one thing I have learned from the top 1% is when they're always asked, what is the number one investment you recommend? They all say, invest in yourself. That is, you'll get the most return out of investing in yourself. So go to the conference, invest in yourself, take action. When you leave, execute on it. If you need help with that, that's what I do. I help people execute. And yeah, we'll see you there, and we're going to go dominate the world together and reach our dreams.
Man, I'm so glad I get to be there. All right. Well, again, I want to invite you to attend the Men's Legacy Conference Friday, September 22nd, 8:30 to 1 p.m. It is at Oak Ridge Church of Christ, so it is local in the Parker County area, not far if you're in the Fort Worth area and the other surrounding areas here of Weatherford. And I'm really proud and excited to be bringing this to the businessmen of the community. So get in the room. You can register at menslegacyconference.com. Again, half-day event, breakfast and lunch is provided, and there's going to be 5 amazing speakers that are going to pour into you, speak to you, and then you're going to be able to take that and dissect it as you need to, and then take an action. And I can't wait to hear the difference from this year's conference to the next. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Jud, for joining us.
You're welcome.
And y'all take care. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now.
See you guys there.